Hello, welcome again to Varsity Sports Live here on Halloween Eve. Tom Neiman with Jason Andera. Jandy, we're getting it done. We're getting into the playoffs now, and we really get into some good games coming up in the next round. But through the first round here in South Dakota for the big schools.
I've been pleasantly surprised how good the quarterfinals have been and how good the first round was last week. If this is the pace we're on, Tom, imagine what's going to happen by the time we get to the championship round.
All right.
It's going to be great.
Some North Dakota games tonight. Jody Norstead is coming up with those. The big school's playing up there tonight, so Jody's standing by. Let's get to the South Dakota games, though, from most of them on Thursday night in the big schools in the opening round. And Watertown and Roosevelt. Jason, Watertown with Cale Stevenson and the guys, but Rosie beat them 55-14 the first time around and rolled it up pretty big in this one, too. Dawson Schmidt, this is ruled a fumble as he goes down. And the Riders get on it, and that leads to a Joe Herreid touchdown.
You know, this Rider team, they haven't been tested with a real big challenge since that Harrisburg game about, 5 weeks ago? But they continue to pass with flying colors, just offensively, defensively, running the ball, passing the ball. Taylor Ashley looks like an animal. They look unstoppable, Tom.
Little delay there for Ashley to make a 14-0. Riders right up the middle again. They were just making it all night, right? Up the middle in the A and B gaps, Jandy. Herreid again, 21-0.
There's a little bad blood between these two teams. That extends from last year.
Riders special teams. Tyler Feldkamp kind of blocked that with his shin almost as they got in to block that field goal attempt. It's 28-0 at halftime, and then second half kick right here, Feldkamp. Almost straight down the field.
You know, his top end speed, I mean, he looks so fast. Really isn't that much faster than everybody else, but he just makes the moves. And then look at this awesome catch by Dawson Schmidt. Unbelievable one-hander.
The highlight of the night for the Arrows. That was their own lone score, but this is the kickoff after that. It looks like a replay from the other end of the field.
He affects the game in so many different ways. We've seen him block kicks this year, return kickoffs. He's gotten interceptions on defense. He's forced fumbles. He's catching touch. I mean, he's doing everything this year you could possibly want him to do.
Season ender for Stevenson and Schmidt, who had great careers there as the Arrows finished 2-7. Roosevelt stays unbeaten and on to the semifinals. Brandon Valley is one of the other top squads in 11 AAA, taking on Aberdeen Central. Dramatic slow motion romp onto the field out in Brandon. Tons of time for Joe Colbeck, and he finds Tate Johnson here. And that's kind of the theme, is the offensive line for Brandon Valley.
It is. They've been protecting very well. And Tate Johnson gets his first receiving touchdown of the year. He's had tons of rushing ones. How about that for getting in the scorebooks through the air?
Aberdeen Central coming back. Sam Rolfs throws a very nice ball.
He does.
And he hooks it up here with Alec Vogley out to about midfield, but the Eagles fumble it away. Josh Pickthorn on it for Brandon Valley. And then back to the fat guys for BV. Just tons of blocking. Tate Johnson right up the middle, touchdown.
Yeah, that was the question coming into the year, is how good would their offensive line restock? Well, they've passed that test.
Mark Muchakanaus with the interception just outside the goal line for the Lynx there. And then Johnson again, right up the middle, untouched to the house. And you talk about Nate Myers, Andrew Bunkers, Jackson Muller. These are some of the big guys for Brandon Valley that don't get the accolades, but man, their offensive line is good.
Yeah, there's a reason that this guy, Tate Johnson's getting so many touchdowns. He had 4 in the first half, 3 rushing, 1 receiving. And, you know, he pretty much got to sit down the entire second half. So good job, Tate.
Lynx get to 7-1 into the semis where they will take on Sioux Falls Lincoln. Harrisburg and O'Gorman. Interesting matchup, Jandy. O'Gorman beat Harrisburg 27-21 just last week.
In overtime.
The rematch here in the opening round of the playoffs. And Knuth and Tigan, I believe, hooking it up early for Harrisburg. And they go up 14-0, and then they go up 21-0. Here's Ethan Rollinger.
Jacob Knuth got on a roll after that first touchdown. Completion after completion. His receivers were getting open. He was putting it right on the spot. There's Lincoln Carlson hauling one in. It was a show right there for a while. Then there's a little bit of a show for O'Gorman here. Flushing him out of the pocket, can't get it back to the line of scrimmage. That's a safety. And they would come back and score a touchdown right after that. A beautifully dropped in ball by Tegan Schlimgen to Zach Riddle. going into halftime, a little momentum switch.
Yeah, Schlengen's been so fun to watch all season throwing the football. So 21-8 is the score there at halftime. And then Anders Clayton goes in. Tigers go up 28-8. Jacob Schwab.
One effort, two efforts, three efforts, and a lineman push. And Jacob Schwab gets in, and again, O'Gorman, they're not out of this game until Lincoln Carlson answers on the kick return. Look at this move. A burst right here. Harrisburg, give them credit. Every single time O'Gorman tried to inch back into this game, they kept shutting the door. That's what they didn't do last week, and made enough big plays in this game, Tom, to take the win. It was impressive. And after the game, we caught up with Jacob Knuth and Lincoln Carlson, the stars of the game.
It's a great win for our program. We never beat them before, I don't believe. They beat us last week at our place. We had kind of a sour taste in our mouth. We want to come out here and prove who we are and prove that we can make a deep playoff run here.
Yeah, basically it just comes down to execution. We've been having those types of plays all year, and we just need a big spring, got some blocks, and found the hole. This means everything. It gives us that momentum, bring into next week. It's our first win against them at their home turf, means everything.
All right.
Big progression.
Yeah. Harrisburg will get Roosevelt coming up in the playoff, and the next round of the playoffs, so we shall see how they do against the #1 team. One game tonight out of the 28 games in the playoffs this week. It was Lincoln and Washington, third time around this season. First drive of the game, Tommy Thompson to Ty Schaefer.
Nice job, Ty. He's been such a reliable target for Tommy this year.
And then Michael Johnson coming back for the Warriors.
Huge momentum for Washington to capitalize on the very next drive of the game. They were super pumped up, getting the lead 7-6 after that score.
Patriots come back-to-back touchdowns. Robert Hutchinson.
He caught two there. I only caught one of them. I was talking too much on the sideline, Tom, I have to admit.
So Lincoln's up 20-13 at halftime, and then we pick up the stream here. Third quarter, Thompson touchdown. Pats go up by 2 scores, 27-13. Washington, though, scores the next 3 touchdowns. Carson Strom.
Probably not enough credit for Carson Strom. He's been such a reliable receiver, and then look at, he can run tough there too. And then on the next time down, as they scored on a long drive, and then Carson Strom again, and this time he runs a beautiful route and then shakes 2 defenders to get to the end zone. So yards after catch, huge for Carson Strom tonight, over 100 yards receiving.
So Washington goes up 34-27. Patriots tie it up in the 4th. Isaiah Robinson on a touchdown run, ties it at 34. And then what happened?
It would stay like that for a while. The Patriots got the ball back less than a minute. As they're driving, we're talking like 5 seconds left. Tommy either has to get rid of it and try a long field goal, or this. Find Luke Smith in the end zone. Finds himself open. I mean, there might have been a little contact in the end zone, I'm not sure, but Lincoln gets it done, and that was a huge win for them compared to last year in the quarterfinals. I don't know if you remember, they were favored. They were the 2 seed playing against Washington and got beat. So to get that win this year, it's a real important win for Lincoln.
As you said, Strom with a couple of touchdowns for the Warriors as they finish at 3-7, and Lincoln now to 6-3, and they'll take on Brandon Valley coming up in the semifinals. All right, in 11 AA, Huron at Sturgis on Thursday night, and Sturgis won the regular season matchup 21-19.
Watch this.
And Josh Arena on the tip there for the Tigers to get them on the board, and they're up 6-0.
Tigers getting off to a great start. They can throw the ball a little bit. Cade McNeil back in the pocket, making things happen, making some big plays in the passing game, and they pretty much had the lead the entire game here, Tom.
They go up 12-0 here on a Tyson Lean touchdown run. And then Max Kranzler would add the extra point there to make it 14-0. Sturgis comes back, though. Sandon Graham on the receiving end of that little flea flicker. They didn't score, though, on that drive, and Huron did get it back, and they come out with one of their own. They pass back to Cade McNeil, and he takes it to the house to make it 20-0 Tigers.
Yeah, that was huge. After that, the Scoopers got going. They scored a touchdown here, and Graham has been such a big part of this. And then they almost scored another touchdown, or they did get one here to get within 1 score. But then they almost scored again late in the game, but Huron kept them out of the end zone one last time.
Tigers hold them off 2014, so both teams even out at 5-5. Sturgis done, and Huron now gets a date at Brookings coming up in the semifinals.
Great year for Sturgis. They made huge improvements. To get a home game in the quarterfinals, that was huge for the momentum that they're taking as a program.
Keep the stream going, Jandy, with Mitchell and Pierre. This game was nuts in the second half. Pick it up in the fourth quarter. Mitchell up 13-6.
Here's our guy, Parker Phillips, running to the corner. He had 3 touchdowns in 3 different ways in this game, but he was held for the most part. Guire Rasky comes right back. So there wasn't much scoring in the first 3 quarters. Then things got crazy. Josh Grostadier on this one. One of the 3 guys for Mitchell who is making big plays. Gets one in from a long distance. Then a pick up in the fourth quarter right here where Lincoln Keenholz on first down scores one from, I believe, 14 yards in. He gets the touchdown. And then on the ensuing kickoff, this is where things get crazy. Now we're in the fourth quarter when things get nuts.
All right, I got you. It's 13-13, and this is Parker Phillips.
This is one of the 3 ways he scored. He had the receiving touchdown, the kick return touchdown, and a rushing touchdown.
Field, and he goes in. All right, so it's 20-20 with about 8.5 minutes left in the game.
Then on the next kickoff, this one is going to set Pierre up in great field position once again. Doesn't quite get the score here, but they get close enough to get in passing range, and Lincoln Keenholz has been better and better and finds Reagan Bolwig, who, with that reception, has the most career touchdown receptions in Pierre history. So that was big. And then here's the receiving touchdown we were talking about with Parker Phillips. So this is back and forth, back and forth. We are less than 5 minutes in the game here. 30 yards out, Lincoln Keenholz finds Aaron Booth for a 30-yard touchdown. And then the first lead of the game comes when they find Aaron Booth once again as Pierre takes the lead, and then they can kneel it out. Didn't have the lead until the very end when they went up by 7.
Pierre scored 28 points in the fourth quarter to pull this thing out. Mitchell comes close to the upset bid, but the Colonel's done at 3-7, and Pierre on to the semifinals.
Kind of feel bad for the Colonels, Tom. They've had a rough 7-game losing streak. They're a better team than that.
All right, moving to 11A now. Dell Rapids and West Central. This is a great traditional rivalry. West Central beat Dell's 34-0 just a couple of weeks ago, but much closer in this one. Ryan Healy, touchdown run for West Central to put them in the lead at home, and then a 1-yard plunge for the equalizing touchdown there for Dell Rapids. So it's 7-7, and then West Central, very good kicker, Derek Eidsness, jams that through. Trojans up 10-7.
And then Dell Rapids really struggled moving the ball, but they get a trick play right here to advance them down the field, and this got him in scoring position where they started to feed Kobe Mason. He gets the ball in the red zone a lot for them, and you can tell why. It's kind of a bull.
6'3", about 220 pounds. Mason is getting in no matter what there. Dells goes up 14-10, but the drama here, does West Central get in with the go-ahead touchdown? Justin Zerpel scored it for the Trojans, and Zerpel on the sideline explaining, I was clearly in for the score. It was no doubt. So it's 16-14. Dell's driving late though, 4th down, and they did not convert there. So West Central scores late, holds them off, and the Trojans win it 16-14.
0 passing yards on the day for West Central, but you know what? Justin Zerpel did a great job quarterbacking, even if he didn't pass for a yard. Here he is after the game.
I had confidence in our team the whole time. I just knew we had to just keep going at them. We were winning the first half, so we just had to come out second half, keep going. Fourth quarter got tough, but face adversity and we're able to come through.
And we'll hear from Coach Benedetto.
Yes, we will.
Coming up a little later. But West Central kind of coming back. They were so good for all those years with Jim Utek and Kent Mueller. And
people were down on them a little bit early this year, and they've really taken a huge step in the last half of the season. And now they get a rematch with Canton. They can't wait for that. I can't wait for that.
All right, let's go to 11B, Jandy. In Mobridge, St. Thomas More and Mobridge-Pollock both knocked out in this quarterfinal round last year. But Mobridge-Pollock likes to wing it around. Caden Eisman to Bryceton Gehring, and these two had a big night for the home team. So Mobridge-Pollock in the lead early, 7-0. St. Thomas More kept pounding the rock. Mobridge-Pollock kept stopping them. Ashton Fitzer, number 63, there was in on a ton of plays for Mobridge-Pollock. Jack Green with a field goal for St. Thomas More to make it 7-3, and that was it at halftime. And the Cavaliers with their biggest play of the game right here. Jed Sullivan on the money out there to 6'5" Jake Goebel, but Mobridge-Pollock stops him at the 20-yard line, makes him turn it over on downs. There is Fitzer again defensively for Mobridge-Pollock. Still in the third quarter, Jandy. This connection again.
Look at that.
Gehring coming back to get it. Eisman laying it out there. Beautiful connection. 14-3. Mobridge-Pollock in the lead. They got some other guys that can catch it. This is a great grab, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might have slipped out of there. Gavin Reinert, but it was a third down conversion, and they kept the drive going. They were going in again, but Eisman picked off this time just outside the goal line by Tyson Durham for St. Thomas More. Fourth quarter, though, Eisman handles the high snap. Gehring gets open again. Third touchdown of the night for those two guys. And 20-9 is the final here. So Mobridge-Pollock stays unbeaten on to the semifinal.
Yeah, that was a fun game. The Gehrings have done so good all season long. And after the game, Caden Eisman and Bryceton Gehring talked with us.
Run some backside audibles. We found the open spots in the field. And we were able to get the pass off quick enough.
I'm really proud of everyone and how they played. Our O-line blocked long enough, and we were able to get it done in the passing game.
Defensively, we had guys flying to the ball on every play. We're making tackles all over the place. Season's been great. We've been playing with each other. I mean, these guys playing with each other since the third grade. So we have connection all over the place.
Always lots of good stories like that of the guys that have played together for 10 years, you know,
yeah.
and on to the semis now for Mobridge-Pollock.
I think we just uncovered the best kept secret in 11B, their passing game. They love to pass the football, and Caden Eisman is the guy that pulls the trigger in the Gehrings, both of them.
And they kind of control the game that way. Most teams run out the clock. We'll hear from Coach Gehring later on talking about that. So Mobridge-Pollock with the win there. Let's get some 9-man going, Jandy. Florence-Henry and Lemmon-McIntosh in 9AA. Ashton Hansen,
He passes
halfback
it.
pass to Mackay Keller, and Florence-Henry takes the lead, and then they add on it to get up 14-0. Hansen again here.
Well, Hansen's been such a huge weapon this year. He came over from Aberdeen Central and has done a great job for them running the ball this year. And that's why the pass worked, because it sucked the entire defense in on him.
Lemmon-McIntosh averages 53 points a game, though, and they start coming back. Cody Thompson to Isaiah Portwood, and they would hook it up all night. So it's 14-8. Florence-Henry, though, again. Hansen again to make it 22-8 for the visitors. And then still first half here. Thompson to Portwood. Nice effort after the catch going flying in there. So it's 22-14 at halftime.
Yeah, they can definitely chuck the ball. Their coach, Josh Anderson, told me that Cody Thompson's going to have 9-man national records, career records after this season, after they get verified.
Second half, Cowboys tie it up here. Tanner Miller almost Daniel Joneses himself, but he stays on his feet, and they tie it up at 22. A third touchdown pass there for Cody Thompson, and then
this is big.
Cowboys take the lead. Portwood again to put them up 28-22. Florence-Henry trying to come back here. I guess this
That's a
was
fumble.
A backwards pass, so they call it a fumble.
And then they close it out.
And Lemmon-McIntosh wins it 28-22.
A tremendous effort by both teams. Florence-Henry came in a huge underdog, but Cody Thompson found a way to get it done. Here he is after the game.
I don't think I could ask for a better group of linemen and running back to block for me. I don't know if I get touched when I don't make a mistake, and then when I throw the ball, I miss so many times, and they go make some amazing plays every night. It's pretty crazy. It's awesome. We've held that to a standard, and everybody dug their heels in, and we we made plays. We have an amazing D-line and linebacker core that makes plays, and people can throw the ball on us, but our DBs, they can make plays, and I think we're pretty solid all around, and our defense digs in. It's awesome.
You talked about the 53 points per game, but it was the defense that came out in the second half and won this game for the Cowboys.
Lemmon-McIntosh moving on in 9AA. In 9A, meanwhile, Lyman taking on Wall on Thursday evening. That beautiful field that you can see from Interstate 90 in the background. Wall gets it started here. Cedar Amiat, they probably should have tried to hit him there at the goal line, but he gets in for the touchdown. And then the Raiders do put the pads on him this time, but spinning back inside at the 4-yard line and in. Amiat with another touchdown.
Bridger and Cedar, two great players for them, the Amiats, and then they've got some good players, young players as well we'll get to later.
Lyman here, dump it underneath to Tyson Floyd for a nice chunk of yards down the sideline, and then Tegan Gorno is going to power it in for Lyman.
They rely a lot on Colton Collins this year, but Gorno has had a great season as well at quarterback.
It's like a beautiful night out there, doesn't it?
Oh, so much sky.
Eagles get a sack and a fumble here. Bryson Cheney scoops it up, and we move ahead to further action as he scores there. And Wall keeps rolling. More Eagles here.
Look at that move.
Tack Tynes gets outside and inside the pylon to score there. And then watch, this was the highlight of the night though in this game. Watch the escape act by Gorno here for Lyman. This is crazy.
He's not in the grasp. Jukes two different ways.
Yeah, it's 9-man football. He got away from 8 guys, everyone except Tynes over there. So great effort there by Gorno. But the Eagles go back to the air here. Amiat again, making more guys miss. And Wall goes on to roll in this one. 42-20 is the final for the Eagles.
Big win, and they've got home field advantage, Tom, in 9A. Somebody's going to have to go out to Wall to play them. We'll get to that later.
All right, we'll hear from Coach Heather Shaw coming up later on in zone coverage. And in 9B, Jandy. Herreid-Selby.
Yeah. This was a rematch of last year's title game. I was really looking forward to seeing how these two teams would react, and it was all Wolverines. A big running day for them. Didn't have to pass much, but when they did, they were efficient. But when I talked to Clayton Randall, he says give the credit to the offensive line. They have done a magnificent job. They've got two different guys who have run over 1,000 yards, and they don't get that done without a great offensive line. It was all Wolverines in this game.
Couple of long touchdown runs there for Brendan Begeman. And the Wolverines with the shutout of Colman-Egan in this one on Thursday night. 30-0 the final. And Herreid-Selby into the semifinal round where they will take on Wolsey Wessington.
That's a tough draw. A great 2-3 matchup. Two teams that I really like in 9B. But Herreid-Selby gets the home game. That's got to be good for them.
All right, we will take a look at all of the South Dakota brackets coming up later in the show. We've got some more post-game talk from some of the coaches from the games on Thursday and Friday night coming up a little bit later. When we come back, though, we will get to West Fargo. Jody Norstedt standing by with the North Dakota highlights of the night.
Varsity Sports Live on Midco Sports Network is presented by Farmers Union Insurance, Avera Orthopedics, and South Dakota State University.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live, and let's go to West Fargo, where Jody Norstedt is dressed as a sportscaster for Halloween. And we get into playoffs chugging along up there. We get into the first round, I believe, of the big class tonight, right?
Yeah, the 3A got underway tonight, and we'll have 2A, A, and 9-man tomorrow. But guys, the big talker, and I know what's happened in your state as well, the COVID issues forcing a couple more forfeits this week. So my hats go off to Oaks and Jamestown on having great seasons. They are not able to keep going here in the playoffs. But that set up just 3 matchups on our Class 3A slate tonight. Cheyenne getting that bye with the win. coincidentally over Jamestown because of that forfeit. But then you had 2 rematches going on from last year, and then you had Shanley taking on this Century team, the defending state champs, seeing if Shanley's air raid attack would be able to attack Century somehow, some way. But let's get to the Bismarck-West Fargo showdown. Isaiah Hoos not playing in this game. The state's leading rusher injured his knee earlier in the week. Huge blow to the Demons. So now they have to go against this West Fargo team without their top rusher, but Lucas Miller making up for it. Gets a nice run here. Actually, no, he doesn't. Casey Ortiz drags him down, and Casey's done that all year. But Bismarck does start to get things going on the ground. On a 4th and 3, Jack Steckler gets into the end zone. And then second drive here for West Fargo. Packers going for it on a 4th and long. Peyton Jancy to Carson Hegerly. A juggling catch. What a play by one of the top players in the state. Next play, Parker Nelson to the outside, makes it 7-7. Demons answer quickly, though. Now Miller's going to get going behind that great offensive line. Plants a foot for a great cut here, and then goes 35 yards to the house. Demons making up for the loss of Hughes by committee. Packers trying to respond through the air, but Jancy is going to be intercepted by Jaden Cavisto. One of 3 triplets for that Cavisto family on this Bismarck team. Bismarck decides they're going to try to attack through the air. Caden Fisher back at quarterback. Carter Baroncott picks him off, though. His 4th interception of the year. It's a 14-7 Bismarck lead at the break. Third quarter, it's Miller time again. He gets a pancake block from Caleb Doctor, and he's in. 155 yards and 2 scores for Miller. Packers trying to rally from a 2-touchdown deficit. They do just that. Jancy to Carter Baroncott. What a catch. It's 21-14 with 7 minutes to play. Now under 2 to play. West Fargo running out of time. Jancy, Baroncott, 74 yards down the sideline. Look at the speed. They choose to kick the extra point for the tie. Guys, look at this. Demons blow through the line, and they block it. Jack Steckler gets a hand on it, and Bismarck clings to a 21-20 lead with 1:19 to play. Packers do get the ball back with seconds left. Jancy hoping for a miracle, but it's not going to happen. Bismarck holds on for the 21-20 victory. The Demons overcome the injury to Hoos, the state's leading rusher, and will live to play another game in the semis. Baroncott with one heck of a final game. 5 catches, 114 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But it was Miller and that Demon offensive line that proved to be the difference.
It felt great to be able I felt like the whole team really stepped up once we found out Hoos was out. We all knew we had to step up and do our jobs, and the linemen, they played phenomenal. I couldn't have done any of that without the linemen. The whole team, I think everyone played great, and it's a team win in the end.
Interesting storyline in Game 2 at the Bowl. Century and Shanley playing one another for the first time since 2008. Their first postseason meeting since 1981. The defending champs from Century with the obvious advantage up front, but can Shanley's passing game keep them in it? As you can expect, the healthy dose of this guy, Cade Garcia, tonight. His rushing sets up this Noah Schaffner score. Boy, he's looked good on the run the last handful of weeks. Pats up 7-0. Shanley trying to respond. Cooper Mandan to Carter Kochman. They rule this a backwards pass. Our camera guy thought it was incomplete. I thought it was incomplete. Century ends up recovering. They get good field position, and they convert. Garcia's in, and it's 14-zip in a blink of an eye. Patriots keep putting up the points. Schaffner to the air. Noah Foslin makes the touchdown grab. Makes it 21-0 home team, but Shanley comes back with their quick strike offense. Cooper Mattern to Carson Dean, who picks up a big chunk of yards, slipping some tackles there early and racing his way inside the red zone. Second quarter now, Shanley scores. Mattern to Kochman. This time no turnover to worry about. Kochman is in, and the Deacons trail 21-7. Century gives it back to their horse. Garcia rips off another long run. He's been running with a purpose the last few weeks. A Schaffner TD at the end of this makes it a 28-7 score, but back come those Deacons. Mattern to Kochman. This one looked familiar. Again, they cut the lead at 28-15 at the half. Deacons not going down without a fight. Third quarter now, Schaffner just eating up some yards with some great runs. He finished with over 100 yards on the ground, a couple more touchdowns. Garcia finishes up this drive with another good run. Again, following that offensive line, Tristan Wilson, about 3 pancakes on that run. 35-15 the score. Shanley still not going away. Mattern to John Gores. Boy, John's been a playmaker this season. And then Carter Kochman again for the score, and this makes it 35-22 going into the fourth, but it was just too much Century in the end. Here comes Schaffner, airing it out this time to Ian Eli. Money. Patriots win it 49-28. Deacons were trying to beat them for the first time since '97. It didn't happen. A 49-28 victory for the Patriots, who continue to roll behind Schaffner's strong play.
You know, they're a great team. We worked on our coverage a lot. You know, they like to throw the ball. We had great confidence all week. We played with good chemistry and showed up tonight.
So Century will get the winner of this one. Mandan and Davies, a rematch of last year's quarterfinals. Davies hosted Mandan, looking for some revenge. First play of the game, Jace Lohman throws a pass, and it's going to get picked off by the Davies Eagles quarterback, Reed Hartness. Good defensive back as well. Hartness then fakes out our camera guy here, holds on, slings it to Austin Harmsen for an early touchdown, 7-zip. Davies next drive, Truman Weirmeyer, the NDSU commit, capitalizes on good field position, punches it in from the 1 for an early 14-point lead. It looks like Davies is going to run away with it, but late in the first half, Mandan gets going. Jace Lohman tossing it to Tyler Thilmony, grabs it inside the 5, then it's Thilmony again on a 4th and 1, cuts the lead to 8 at the half at 14-6. After the break, Davies has to punt in their own end zone, and it's blocked by Brendan Palmer and recovered by Jackson Dudenheffer. Another future Bison out there making plays. 14-12 all of a sudden. Next possession, Hartness keeps the ball for himself, runs his way around defenders, and works his way inside the 5-yard line. Boy, Reed's been a winner his whole career. When you're that close, you can just hand it off to Colton Almy. Makes it 21-12, but the Braves come right back on their first play of the ensuing drive. Lohman to Thilmony again. Great catch. He maintains his balance, and he's going to do a lot more than that. He goes all the way to the end zone, and it's still a 21-20 lead. Davies, though, after the failed 2-pointer. Then after getting a stop, the Braves are after a made 2-pointer. Braves do more of the same. Lohman to Thilmony is 26-21 Mandan. 2 minutes left. Hartness chucks one deep to Oliver Luck, who's going to haul this in. But guess what? A false start brings the play back. Hartness trying his best to get the Eagles closer to the end zone in the waning moments, but the Braves stood tough to come out with a win for the second straight year versus Davies in the playoffs. They go on the road and surprise another team. Mandan is playing red hot right now. Congrats to the Braves. Let's listen in on what they had to say.
Well, at first, it was really windy. Couldn't really get anything moving on the offensive end. Defense wasn't really focused yet, but I'm glad we clicked it through. It's a lot of adversity we went through. It feels like a tradition now. Like, come to the playoffs, we want to make it a tradition to get in the semifinals every single year, and we just do what we do to get the win.
So the 3A semifinals are set. Bismarck against Cheyenne. That is going to be a really good one. And then Mandan gets Century again. The Patriots were able to win that game last year, and the Patriots were able to beat Mandan earlier this season, albeit a pretty close one. I think it was an 11-point win, but should be a lot of fun next Friday in the semifinals of 3A. But we have a lot more to talk about here on Varsity Sports Live. We'll have zone coverage coming up next. We'll hear from some of the coaches, plus get a preview of tomorrow's playoff matchups.
Varsity Sports Live on Midco Sports Network is presented by Avera Orthopedics, South Dakota State University, and Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back. Well, how about that game to start things? It was an early start out at the Community Bowl. Bismarck beating West Fargo 21-20, coming down to that blocked extra point at the end. But Bismarck, again, playing without the state's leading rusher, Isaiah Hoos, who had over 1,200 rushing yards on the season, 21 touchdowns. They didn't need him to beat West Fargo, although it was very close. But in the end, Mark Gibson's team pulling out a huge victory and advancing to the semifinals.
You know, we had a lot of things go against us, losing Hoos, and everybody didn't think we had much of a chance. And especially after last year, we didn't do a very good job. I tell you what, our defense was outstanding today. Played out great. Offensively, we struggled in some spots, but Lucas Miller was outstanding. What a heck of a kid. What a young man. What a warrior. And you can't say enough of good things about him. And now the great thing for us, we got a well-rested Cheyenne team, but we'll take it, move on, see what happens, and keep moving forward. That's all you can do right now.
It's going to be a pretty good fight. Cheyenne with a terrific football team as well. They're trying to make their way back to the Dakota Bowl for a second straight year. How about this Mandan team? They started the year 1-2, and now all of a sudden they fight their way into the playoffs, playing in the final game of the regular season, a game they needed to win to get into the playoffs, and now here they are playing into the semifinals.
I think the big thing that, post-game, pre-game, every practice, we talk about the things you can control and their attitude and effort. And so we might not be the best team, but we're going to have the best attitude, best effort, game in, game out. And then the other thing we talk about is, doesn't matter what happens, go get better. You make a great play, go get better. You make a bad play, go get better. Ride those peaks and valleys through.
Congrats to Mandan. They will take on Century in the semifinals, the defending state champs that have now won 19 in a row after the victory over Shanley. Well, let's take a look at the playoff preview for tomorrow. I had the chance to sit down with Brad Anderson and Chase Miller, a couple of radio legends here in North Dakota, to break it all down here on Midco Sports Network.
Hillsboro Central Valley earns the 1 seed from the East and hosts Watford City. Central Cass will travel to Beulah. St. Mary's will try to beat Devil's Lake for a 3rd time this season, guys, and Kindred welcomes Hazen to town. Brad, you know that Central Cass team well. How do the Squirrels match up with Beulah?
It's a good matchup. I mean, they're going to have to get their playmakers going right away with Deutsch and Prock now. And the other thing they have to do, I think they've seen some style of football. It's unique what Beulah does, but what Valley City and Hillsboro Central Valley tried to do to you is there's some similarities there, and they played very well against both those teams. They got to play with the lead. It seemed like they've been chasing the score for 3 or 4 weeks, and they got to limit turnovers. It seemed like the turnovers have come at really inopportune times for them. And I know one thing that Tommy Butler has talked about the last couple of weeks, and they finally did it against Wahpeton, is finish.
Chase, give us a few players to watch in 2A.
Yeah, I'm going to start with the Kindred Vikings, and first it's going to be, they've had a topsy-turvy season with COVID as well, only playing 6 games, but Ethan McKinney, the senior tight end, he's at 6'3", 6'4", Max McQuillan. Those two have been a nice 1-2 combination. You mentioned Hillsboro Central Valley. Brad, I kind of see Sam Preston, Gavin Mitzel. If that tandem can get going for the Burros, that's going to help a Coach Olson team to try to make it back to the Dakota Bowl. And then can we get St. Mary's defense? I don't want to say one particular player. They've only given up 27 points in 8 games. That's 3 points. That's a field goal per contest. So let's give out the entire Saints defense as something to watch. But Colin Curl, when he has the ball offensively, you look at a box score on a Saturday morning or Sunday morning, and you look what Bismarck St. Mary's did. Curl's got his fingers all over the box score in some capacity.
Isn't it something that St. Mary's, the rough year last season, and now they come back and they are the team to beat. They've been a lot of fun to watch this fall. Well, let's move to Class A. Obviously, the big news here is COVID forcing that Oaks game to be a forfeit against Langdon Edmore Munich, who gets into the semifinals for, by the way, a 5th consecutive season. That is remarkable to be in the Final Four that many times in a row. The Cardinals will host the winner of Shiloh Christian and Bishop Ryan. Grafton travels to Lisbon for the 2nd year in a row for a playoff game, and Belva plays Trinity for the 2nd time in a month. Guys, I think all 3 of these games have potential to be really good. Bishop Ryan, you look at guys like Jackson Feller, Logan Merck, back from last year's team that reached the Dakota Bowl. I know Shiloh's playing well, but the Lions, they're going to be tough. The Skyhawks, keep in mind, they started 0-2, and they haven't lost a game since. They had wins over Killdeer, Bowman County, New Salem, Glen Ellyn as well. And if Bishop Ryan wins, that could set up a championship rematch from last year. They'd play Langdon Edmore Munich again, this time in the semifinal round. But Brad, Lisbon, let's go to this one. They looked a little bit rusty playing in their first game in 22 days in that first round win that we talked about a little bit ago. Any concern for the Broncos going up against Grafton this week?
Maybe a little bit, but I think maybe just to shake the rust off, maybe they kind of feel like they're kind of back in the groove a little bit against, a Grafton team. And I think they're probably looking at, a Grafton team that, I think is pretty bad, pretty battle tested. They really, so I think that plays a factor. But I think, Lisbon probably just shaking the rust off of that. And I think now they're probably back in a groove. And really with the type of football and the style of football that they run, it's very basic and very simple. It's not like you're doing a lot of different schemes. It's pretty much, Schultz left, Schultz right, or Sowers. It's simple, but it's just it's so effective for them. So I think, you know, it's not like there's a lot of intricacies with it. I mean, it's pretty standard what they try to do.
Yeah, for Grafton, I would imagine the key is just try to force some turnovers on that offense. Otherwise, they're going to be able to run it down your throat. And you get into the offense's hands for Grafton, and you have Esgar Rios back there, Landon Wadarovich, the quarterback, throwing to Steven or the other Garza. They have some playmakers on offense for sure. If someone left all 4 or all 3 of these matchups in a bowl like candy on Halloween night, and this is my Halloween theme getting at you guys because it's going to be Halloween on Saturday, I'd pick Twix if it was a candy for the record, but I'd pick Velva and Trinity for the matchup because I think about the playmakers, Gage Florence, Jersey Selzer, Nathaniel Gillick. Chase, this is going to be a really good matchup.
Yeah, it really is because you got 2 teams who played each other earlier in the season. Velva won at Dickinson by 5 points, 26-21. So the question is, we have a lot of matchups here that might be a second time around in Class AA, 1 or 2 in Class A, and the same in 9-man where we've seen teams play each other earlier in the season. So can the Jersey Selzer, who it seems like every stinking year, the last like 10 years it feels like, but it's not. But it feels like a decade that we mentioned his name once we get to this time of the year. Also, Gage Florence, it's a nice 1-2 combination for Velva. We don't give enough credit to the offensive line either for the Aggies, but they haven't made the Dakota Bowl since 2010. So this is an opportunity to get one step closer. On the flip side, Dickinson Trendy has made the Dakota Bowl since 2006. So one of these 2 teams will get a step closer to trying to erase that decade plus of not making a state title. And then Nathaniel Gillick. I mean, here's the dude that's got over 1,100 rushing yards on the season for Dickinson Trendy. As much as we talk about Selzer for, you know, Velva, Gillick's the same thing here for Dickinson Trendy. They use him a lot of different ways. They can play action with him, use him as a decoy, so to speak. So this is a good 1-2 combination with a lot of stars without question, Jody.
Now, we saw a trio of road teams win in the 9-man playoffs. Beach and Linton HMB showing the strength of that Region 4, but then Grant County Flasher, the Region 4 champ, loses to TGU. So this is how the bracket looks for the Elite 8. Cavalier hosts high-scoring Mayport CG. Beach plays at Kidder County in a Region 4 rematch. And then second-seeded Lemoore Litchfield Marion plays its first playoff game, hosting North Border, and TGU travels to Linton HMB. Brad, what's your upset special this week in 9-man? You tried to get a lot of upsets last week in our pick. What's your upset this week in 9-man?
I talked myself out of one that actually happened. I'm sorry to Coach Zero out in Beach. I had you picked and then I changed my mind. But I don't know if it's really be a huge upset, but you know, Mayport CG and Cavalier. I mean, what's the over/under going to be on points on this game? I mean, that's you know, I don't think Cavalier has seen something like this all year long, and they've played some pretty good teams. But I mean, just the sheer points that they can put out in a short amount of time, and if you make a mistake, if you make you know, a couple of turnovers here and there, that's going to be huge, I think. But on the other hand, you know, Mayport CG, can you withstand all the different weapons that Cavalier has? And they can come right back at you. I mean, you say you got to slow Cavalier down. So what does that mean? You got to hold them to 30. You got to hold them to 40. I mean, it's kind of curious how many points you're going to need to win. If you needed 60 to get out of the first round, what's it going to take to win on the road against one of the best teams in the state?
Yeah, that should be a good matchup. Chase, North Border, they're a nice story. I know you had that game last week. The way they've turned things around has been impressive, but this is a Lemoore Litchfield Marion team that has played lights out all year, averaging just under 60 points per game.
Yeah, Lemoore's got speed, and oh, by the way, more speed. It doesn't matter on any offensive, defensive, linebackers, running backs, quarterback, defensive backs. They got speed all over the field, and it really starts with Corbin Potts, Colton Ness, Brett Wendell, and then, as we mentioned, you look at their offensive line, they're road graders. I mean, they open up some holes for the Wendells to run through to allow Colton Ness to get down the field. The sophomore came out with 7 receptions, 5 touchdowns in their season opener against Enderlin Maple Valley, and boom, it was like, okay, you're on the scene as a sophomore. But on the opposite side, North Border, it was 2011 since their last playoff win. Ironically, that was against Lemoore Litchfield Marion before they defeated Wyoming Lidgewood last week. And they got a ton of seniors on the squad. They're going to have 7-8 seniors on offense, 7-8 seniors start on defense as well. To Brad's point with Cavalier and Mayport CG, you're probably going to have to score, I think the least amount of points the Lobos have scored all season was 30. So I look at that 30 parameter, and you're probably going to have to at least get that against this Lobos defense.
Yep, they can put up the points, and they can shut teams down defensively, can that Lemoore Litchfield Marion squad. Chase, back to the Halloween theme. Which player in this 9-man bracket that's still playing would you be most afraid of, scared of to tackle?
Trade Jacob because of the numbers that he put up in 3 games in 8 days for the Lions at one particular point. So I think he would be definitely one, just because you look at him and he goes into a hit and he's bouncing off people. He's almost like a bowling ball at times. It's really tough to tackle. So I think I got to give Trade Jacob, but also if I had to snake one in there, just because he slithers around, it would be Sawyer Satcham from Mayport CG as well. Adam Soul has done such a good job utilizing him this season in a shotgun formation, allowing him with the pass run option. I would go Jacob first, but Satcham with a very close 1B option.
A couple other scary ones would be Tyson Mattern out at Beach. The way, I mean, that guy gets a ton of carries every game. And by the fourth quarter, as a defender, you're probably sick of tackling that guy.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live to finish it up here on October 30th, Jandy. And let's hear from some more of the coaches from the games on Thursday night. Starting with West Central in 11A. West Central beat Del Rapids on Thursday 16-14.
Wasn't as easy as the first time around. Here's Vince Benedetto after the game.
We've battled a lot of adversity, lost a lot of close games, and to be down by that what we were in the fourth quarter, and to battle back and get a drive and finish a drive, and the goal line was just awesome. It's just a testament to the character of our kids. We did that against Madison a couple weeks ago, and that turned into what they want me to do every game. My wife doesn't like it because I got grass stains on my pants when I get home, but yeah, I love these guys. They're awesome kids. They're really, really young men of character, and I'm so proud to be their coach.
Great job by Vince. Just took over last year, and you can see that program moving in the right direction.
West Central will take on Canton coming up in the semifinals. In 11B, Mobridge-Pollock is into the semifinals. They beat St. Thomas More 20-9 on Thursday night. Paul Gehring talked to him after the game, and they like to throw the football. A lot of teams eat clock when they have a lead by running the football. Mobridge does it by throwing the football. Here's Coach.
Caden, did an awesome job. Our line just gave us just enough time to get balls off, and our receivers made great plays, and it was kind of a deal where we wanted to kind of run the ball out, run the time out, and we kind of thought if we complete passes and then just keep the clock running and continue drives, we could come out with a win.
St. Thomas More is putting on some heavy rush, and Caden Eisman was able to avoid it for the most part. He and Bryson Gehring, great connection.
We'll see if they can do it next week against Bridgewater Emory-Ethan, who has a lot of athletes on defense. It'll be interesting.
All right, in 9AA, Lemmon-McIntosh. Close game, great game. They beat Florence-Henry 28-22.
Yeah, Lemmon-McIntosh last year made it all the way to the semifinals, and Josh Anderson has them back in the semis this year. He talks about how that was one of their goals this year.
I really believe that's helped us all year. It gave our kids a goal at the beginning of the years to get back to the game we're at for sure right now. We want to play one more than that, but our kids all year have just talked about hanging it in there, being a good team, being team players, and I think that run last year just got us over the hump a little bit, so to speak, and our battle-tested kids really played hard, and that'll just keep us going in the right direction.
Lemmon-McIntosh gets Hamlin coming up in the semifinals. All of the 4 teams in 9AA in the semis undefeated so far.
Yeah, one of the most fun classes just because of that fact.
All right, and in 9A, we had Wall over Lyman 42-20 on Thursday night.
Yeah, Lex Heathershaw, another coach who took over relatively recently, he talks about how he's got a young team, but he's got a lot of good seniors too.
It's been a long time since we've had all 3 games at home, and our guys are really juiced up about it, and we've just been really excited. It's great for our community, great for our fans, and these seniors for the work they've put in the last 4 years. Yeah, people have asked me that all year, that we're incredibly young, and we're young across the board, but we do, again, I'll mention our seniors again. We got 4 seniors that play both ways for us, and we know we have low senior numbers, but they've really done what they're supposed to, and they're bringing these young guys along. So I think it's those guys that are setting the stage for us, and they just have confidence in our young guys. So our young guys have been able to play well because of that leadership.
All right, Wall and Warner coming up in the semifinals in 9A. All of the semis coming up on Friday. Our live game will be Huron taking on Brookings in 11AA, and then we'll see you next Friday night on Varsity.
That was one of Brookings' closest games of the year, back in the first game of the year when they played Huron, so could be in for a good game.